been a while, but we're back once again with another edition of the Dropping the Hammer Racing Hour. I'm Alex Gray, coming to you live from Northern Kentucky, while my friend Michael here is on his way to North Carolina. Michael, what's going on your side of things?
Well, I'm heading down to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the ARCA and Truck Series event, where I will be helping Alex Tuck, which we will get into a little bit more later. Tonight, I'm on my way to Millbridge for the Extreme Midget Series.
Awesome. I'm sure it's going to be a great weekend for you down there, obviously. For me, I have the intent right now that I will be attending the Cup Series race at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. I'm really excited for that. Obviously, I have a lot of family out there. Looking forward to hanging out with my dad and everybody again, so it's going to be a fun weekend, too.
Sounds good. Definitely try to make it out if I can. It's going to kind of depend how we can get kind of like finances are.
Yeah, absolutely. So really some of the biggest things to talk about is we're heading into a pretty big weekend. Obviously, this coming Sunday we'll have breakfast in Monaco, lunch in Indy, dinner in Charlotte. First time really since 2019 that we'll have all three races in one day again. Really excited for those races. Of course, the Indy 500 should be a ton of fun. And, of course, the Coca-Cola 600. This past weekend, however, was the NASCAR All-Star race held at Texas, and looks like it was met with a lot of mixed reviews, especially considering what happened at the end of the race.
Absolutely. I mean, what happened at the end there was one of the biggest lapses in officiating that I've ever seen from NASCAR. Nothing that we saw there was right. Caution was thrown when it shouldn't have been thrown. Ryan Blaney definitely kind of got screwed out. Could have very potentially been screwed out of a win, which fortunately he was able to hold on for it. But, obviously I know that if Ryan Blaney hadn't won that, what we're seeing now would probably be 10 times worse. And, we're seeing a lot of people within the industry obviously voicing their complaints about this, and rightfully so. Obviously I know officiating's never going to get it right 100% of the time, but this was one of the worst calls I've ever seen made by NASCAR.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a massive blunder. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Looking at the whole situation, Blaney with his issue, as much as, you would hate for him to lose out on winning $1 million because of a prematurely thrown caution, that was dangerous. And, I think Denny Hamlin could have said it, you turn, you get into him, hit him on the driver's side, that's potential lawsuit, right? So, yeah, that's the rule. You have to have your window net up, and it wasn't fastened or secured because Blaney thought he had won the race. But I will also go back to the fact that caution should not have been thrown. I mean, Blaney I get it. It's the All-Star race. Everybody's going for $1 million. You're pushing it and everything else. But, I mean, he was like, 100 feet from the start and finish line? I mean, he was right there. I mean, he threw the caution out. I mean, at that point, the race is over, in my opinion. I mean, we've seen cases of that before. But, yeah, I mean, it was a massive blunder by NASCAR. It was a massive, massive blunder, and I hope they've had a long meeting this week and discuss, make sure not ever to do that again. Because I know Scott Miller said after the race, he even said that we might have prematurely thrown the caution out.
Yeah, which, at least you can say they owned up to it. They acknowledged, yes, we made a huge mistake here, and now all they can do is just make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Just, you can't have that kind of stuff happen. And the way for a race that's meant to be entertaining and fun like that to end that way just puts a damper on things, which obviously is, I make the mistake of, following along the fun social media commentary throughout the race. A lot of people really don't like the way Texas Motor Speedway is. And I think a lot of that has to go back to when they try to reconfigure the track about 5 years ago now. And I wanted your thoughts on that whole thing. Should the All-Star race move somewhere else? Should it? You know, some people are saying to get rid of it. I don't say get rid of the All-Star race because it's still fun, right? But I know Marcus Smith also made some comments afterwards, like, well, you know, people were saying for us to not have it in Charlotte, which, you know, I get that. I mean, in the end, I think a rotation of the All-Star race would be pretty fun, but I want your thoughts on Texas Motor Speedway and, you know, how you feel about the track in general.
So, personally, you know, I'm not a fan of Texas Motor Speedway. And, I mean, the next-gen car has provided great racing on these intermediate tracks all year. And we still saw pretty much a snooze fest Sunday. So it's like, wow, the next-gen car can't even create an exciting product here. Personally, I would rather see the All-Star race be rotated each year. You know, like one year you do it at Charlotte, one year you do it at Bristol, the next you do it at Las Vegas or Kentucky or Atlanta. You know, I think that would be the perfect way to go about it. From my understanding, SMI pretty much holds the rights to the race, so of course you got to take into consideration it would probably be split among the SMI tracks, which, you know, that's still a good, like, 10 tracks right there that you can go to. So that's definitely something I think I would rather see. Because, I mean, you know, we went to the All-Star race at Bristol a couple of years ago, and that was very exciting, honestly. You know, I thought it was a great race. Yeah, and the last one they did in Charlotte I thought was pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and obviously that 2020 race was moved to Bristol because of the whole entire COVID situation at the time, but still, Bristol was fun. And as you said, the next-gen car has put off really good races this year. I mean, it's living up to expectations. Texas was the first race where I truly felt like, yeah, this is kind of average and something's got to be done. You know, maybe you try something different. Whether that's, you know, people are like, oh, give it the Fontana or the Atlanta treatment, which I kind of fear with Atlanta that they're slowly going to start turning the mile and a half into super speedways, which I'm not going to lie. I was already 50-50 on the Atlanta repave. Just keep that as it is. And I don't know, because, you know, people have been saying, oh, go back to Charlotte, go here, go here. Yeah, obviously, Speedway Motorsports wants to keep the All-Star race. I mean, it would be split among the track. Speaking of tracks, and I agree that, you know, Texas has not been putting on great racing as of recent, but the issue, too, is the Dallas-Fort Worth market is a massive market. NASCAR is not going to leave that market. And I know people keep making jokes of like, oh, turn it into an Amazon warehouse. NASCAR's not going to leave Texas because it's a big market. Same, you know, obviously COTA is a huge market. Austin, that's a pretty big market too. But Dallas-Fort Worth's even bigger than Austin, and I think there's a lot of money. And unfortunately, being a realist, you know, NASCAR's not going to want to leave it, but I don't know, you know. There's a lot of different ways to take it.
I'd rather see it get reconfigured back to its original state. Yeah, I think the main problem has been turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think you're right on that part for sure. And I hate to sound critical, but I think I have to bring this up. There's been a track record with SMI when it comes to what they've been trying to do. The Texas reconfiguration did not go well. Kentucky's reconfiguration didn't go well. Now it's sitting there doing nothing. PJ1, no. I will say Bristol Dirt's kind of cool. That's different. I'm fine with that. But I know there was a while, I think years ago, I'm trying to remember, but I know they tried to do something different with Bristol, and a lot of drivers hated it. But, you know, there's just that track record from SMI, you know. And the other problem was I know everyone loves to crap on Kentucky Speedway, and everyone thinks that track needs to be burned to the ground, but I'll be honest with you. That package we had back in 2020 was terrible. The 550 package wasn't all that great. I really think if you just take away, go to like Kentucky, for instance, and you mentioned it with Texas, go back to its original reconfiguration. So at Kentucky, my idea would be either go back to what it was before the repave or make the banking same in turn 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. whether that's a little bit more banking, that's fine. Get rid of the PJ1. I think the next-gen car will do fine there. And also, this really hasn't been talked about much because I don't see it much anywhere else. This was reported by a radio station out of Chicago called 98.3 WCCQ. A couple days ago, they posted this article that rumblings are being reported that NASCAR could return to Chicagoland next year. Now, take this with a grain of salt. This is one article. We really don't know what the whole deal is here, but this article is short. It's saying that WJOL's racing guru, if I can pronounce his last name, Mike Guglielmucci, says it could happen. It looks like Phoenix is going to lose one of their two races, and Chicagoland could gain that spot. The race date would be August 13th, 2023. According to reporting by Beyond the Flag, there has been fans' outcries to have the track back after a string of great races before it lost its races during the COVID outbreak in 2020. So I stumbled upon this. I don't know how true or accurate this is, but it's definitely something interesting to talk about, considering that NASCAR is going to look to change up the schedule even more in 2023.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that means there's hope for Kentucky Speedway. And I will say this, is that it doesn't seem like the hatred that was there when it was on the schedule, it doesn't seem like it's quite there yet. I mean, I've seen lots of people on Twitter talk about how they actually want to see that track back. Honestly, the most negative comment I've heard about it was with Ross Chastain's post-race interview at Atlanta. Other than that, it seems like, I don't think this would be a bad idea for them to go back. Like, I don't think that would be an idea killer. It's like, I'd say take one of the dates from one of the tracks that have two dates, like maybe Las Vegas, Atlanta, one of those tracks, and give Kentucky a state back. And hopefully the rumors about Chicagoland, if they turn out to be true, hopefully that is a good sign for Kentucky as well.
Yeah, you hope. I mean, like I said, you look at the old car from the last few years compared to this car now, I think the new car can run really well at tracks that have underperformed, like Kentucky, like other places, maybe even Dover. I feel that way. I really like what this new car is providing, and obviously Chicago, that's a big market. You're going to want to tap into that still. I think NASCAR will. They're going to come back to Chicago, in my opinion. They're either going to go do the street circuit or Chicagoland Speedway. And with Kentucky, of course, I know Marcus Smith said last year on the Dale Jr. Download that supposedly Kentucky was removed for COVID restrictions reasons, but I'm not buying that.
I'm sorry, I find it hard to listen to anything Marcus Smith says, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, both of those tracks should be given another chance. If you're going to, in my opinion, bring Chicagoland back, bring Kentucky back as well. Let's just see what the new car does. I think that's fair, And, after the racing there, we can assess, hey, the racing was fantastic, or, oh, kind of a letdown, whatever. I just think both tracks, and, I'll throw in Iowa, too. Iowa got booted out. I know, isn't Iowa hosting ARCA this year? I'm pretty confident it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, this is what I would like to see. And I'm going to make this plea to SMI. At least give Kentucky one more race. Just give us one more chance to prove the race can put on a good show. If we go back there and the race is a complete snooze fest, fine. Take it off, bury it 6 feet under, do what you want with it. Just give us this one more chance. And if the racing's great, let's keep going there. Come on.
I agree. One more chance. New car, you never know what's going to happen. So I agree. One more chance. Just let's see what happens, At
the very least, we get one final race at our track.
Yeah. I mean, the track had a great finish in 2020, but nobody was there to see it. That sucks. And poor Chicagoland didn't even have a race in 2020. So it's like,
honestly, if I had known that was going to be the final race, I would have said, get in the car, we're going, and we would have just sat outside turns 1 and 2 up on that hill.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Wherever, but we would have been there.
Yeah. So, yeah, just some fun track stuff to talk about, talking about the All-Star race and, what shakeups could we see in the future with our schedule. Obviously, we are still, I think now we are past halfway in the regular season, so I can't help but ask.
Wow, it's flown by.
What's that? Yeah, the season really has flown by. I'm sitting there going, how the heck is it almost June already? That doesn't feel right. Goodness, yeah, I really feel like 2022 has kind of flown by. I feel like tomorrow is going to be 4th of July. Next week it'll be Christmas. That's what it feels like. But yeah, what have been some big surprises and what have been some letdowns so far in 2022?
Let's see. Surprises, I would definitely say Trackhouse as a whole. I mean, I kind of figured they would have an uptick, but it's like now they may be the best team in NASCAR at this point. I mean,
I agree.
Resources they gained from Ganassi, I think, has really helped them. I mean, Ross Chastain's already got 2 wins. Daniel Suarez is knocking on the door of his first win. I mean, and that, of course, they just announced the 3rd car, Project 91, for certain races for an international driver. I mean, how can you not say that that's not the biggest surprise of the year?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Trackhouse, I think this team will be part of NASCAR's future for the next many years to come. I mean, this is a team that is truly reimagining and, trying new visionaries. This whole Project 91 thing, like you mentioned, and bringing over, like, an international driver. Maybe you throw in, like, Helio Castroneves in a car for the Indy Road Course, or maybe Kimi Räikkönen gives NASCAR another chance, something like that. I think it's a great idea to, push the sport to a more international presence that way. And, yeah, okay, we had the open wheel invasion in the late 2000s, which unfortunately a lot of those guys didn't pan out well, but I still think it's a wonderful idea and a great opportunity. And Trackhouse Racing, keep your eyes on this race team. Chastain might be a championship contender, honestly, at this point, the way he's been driving.
No,
and I think
it's not even amazing. It's like he is. I think he's certainly a championship contender.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the biggest thing is the fact that, when you look at 2019 and 2020, when he was just doing every race that he could, he was doing triple headers in all 3 circuits, and I think with all that seat time, it has helped him. And, he's the way it's looking, he's going to win a lot more races there is to come. Suarez, too. Suarez, he's knocking on the door of his first win, like you said. I'm confident he's going to get a win this year. I'm really feeling it. That Trackhouse team, man, that's going to be a powerhouse. Keep your eyes on that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that being said, what has been more of a letdown so far in 2022? Now that we've talked about Trackhouse and their success, what teams or drivers have been a little bit more on the disappointing side of things, if you will?
I will say this with, and also giving them credit just for how much they've improved their past few weeks, it seems like, with Kurt Busch getting that win. But on the other side of the new teams, with the Superstar owner, 23XI's been pretty disappointing this year. I thought with Kurt Busch hopping on board in the new car, I thought this would provide, Bubba and Kurt great opportunity to be up there running well week in and week out. And obviously, Bubba started out the year with a 2nd place at Daytona. But, for a while there, they just kind of were mid-pack always. And I feel like a lot of that is probably due to some stuff going on within the team. Like, if I'm being real, I don't know if they've really used their resources correctly when it comes to the crew, if I'm just being honest. But over the past few weeks, it seems like now we're seeing Bubba running top 15, top 10 pretty much every week. Kurt Busch obviously got the win at Kansas. Right now, their own worst enemy seems to be the crew, because it seems like it's always a mistake on pit road that's knocking them further back in the pack, especially with Bubba. So,
Yeah.
honestly, that's probably something to look at. Maybe look at making some changes or look at doing some extra training for them. So, I would definitely say the 2311 has probably been pretty disappointing, but they are definitely heading in the right direction now, it seems.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is figuring out the pit crew blunders. You've seen a lot with Bubba Wallace especially. I mean, you go back to Kansas, which, by the way, how awesome was it to see Kurt Busch win in the Jordan car? How awesome is that? But with Bubba, he was running like fifth. And then, you know, in those final set of pit stops, something happened. And even Bubba and Denny themselves, I think, just finally looked at this and went, this can't keep happening, you know? Because I think Bubba can, you know, he's shown he can win races. He can compete. That 2311 team, slow start, but yeah, I think they're going to pick it back. I think they're going to pick it up as the season progresses. I think, you know, there's a good chance we might see more than 16 winners, honestly, the way things have been. And this is what the next-gen car wanted to do, was create, you know, tighter competition, and we're seeing that. The other, I don't know if it's fair to say, Brad Keselowski, of course, has had his struggles. Again, though, this is, you know, I didn't expect RFK Racing to win a ton of races out of the get-go. And I think Brad is still learning. Chris Buescher has, he's been showing flashes. Because I know Chris Buescher's a good driver. I know he is. He's won the pole at Dover, I believe. He's put some good runs in. I think Chris Buescher could surprise people. He could end up in victory lane. And then, you know, Keselowski, obviously he got hit with that massive penalty earlier in the season that really set him back, and he's probably in a must-win situation. But again, Brad could still win somewhere. I still think he can. So that's kind of where I see things in that situation with RFK Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, I figured there'd be a bit of an upturn, but I just haven't seen that this year. You know, it seems like the problem right now is just their consistency. It seems like they're either running well or they're running well in the back. And, of course, like you said, Brad's been given that penalty, which has put him in pretty much a must-win situation at this point. So it's definitely one of the other big disappointments of the year. So hopefully they can pick it back up.
Yeah, absolutely. But, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how the rest of the season goes. You know, looking at some of our upcoming races, obviously we got the 600 coming up this weekend, NASCAR's endurance race. And then after that, first trip to this new track, the NASCAR Cup Series will head out to St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway. Plan is for me to go out to that race and hang out with my dad. That'll be a ton of fun. And then after that, Sonoma and Nashville, second trip to Nashville Super Speedway. So that being said, I think we have to do what we've always done before. We have to make some picks for this coming weekend. And I figured, let's do the whole trifecta. Who do we think will win at Monaco, the Indy 500, and the Coke 600?
Okay, so Monaco. This one, I'm going with Charles Leclerc. I feel like he's probably got something to prove from last year. Obviously, where he got the pole and then crashed on his out in a 10 lap, and unfortunately had to retire from the race with gearbox problems. So I feel like he's going to be back with his vengeance, and I feel like he'll get the pole again, which usually that's what leads to a win. So going with Charles Leclerc in that. Indy 500, that one is a bit more of a stretch to try to figure out. Obviously, you've got so many cars that are capable of winning it. But obviously, Ganassi looks pretty strong. Ed Carpenter Racing looks pretty strong. So for this one here, I don't really know if I can go with a logical pick. So I'm just going to go with a gut pick. I'm going to say Ed Carpenter gets his first Indy 500 win. He's been close so many times before, and they obviously have speed this year. It's looking pretty good for him, I think. So
Okay.
Ed Carpenter's my Indy 500 pick. Coke 600, long line of first-time winners in this race. I'm saying that we get another first-time winner this year. Trackhouse continues the dominance, and Daniel Suarez gets his first Cup win in Cook 600.
Okay, I do like those picks. Monaco, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Charles Leclerc. He or Max Verstappen. I think those two are lighting the world on fire right now with their performances.
I'm going to go with the same pick this year. You just got to say Leclerc, Verstappen.
What's that?
Yep, you're going to go with the safe pick. Just say Leclerc or Verstappen.
Yeah. And then you go to the Indy 500. Yeah, again, there's going to be a lot of good cars in this race. Obviously, last year we got to see Elio Castroneves get his score 14 500. He'll be chasing his fifth. He'll start out in 27th. This one might be a gut feeling too. I don't want to change this, but I think it would be really cool to see this. He's been doing pretty well in the ovals. Why not? Jimmy Johnson. I want to see Jimmy win the Indy 500. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I thought about saying him, but I feel like that would be a bit of a bold pick. So,
yeah, it is a bold pick.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's looking really good on the ovals in IndyCar. And I know people are going to talk about how poorly he does in road courses. Look back in NASCAR. Was he ever known as a good road course racer in NASCAR?
Right. He only had, one win ever on a road course.
According to my knowledge, he only ever got one win on a road course.
Yeah. It was Sonoma in, 2008, I think. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even that, he pretty much, not to take anything away from him, he even pretty much had to be gifted that one. You remember Marcus Ambrose shut the engine off going up the hill, and he got sent to the back for not maintaining pace car speed.
Oh, yes. I remember that all too well.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think it would be really cool to see Jimmy Johnson win the Indianapolis 500. There's a lot of good cars here. You got obviously you got to talk about Roman Grosjean. I think he's got some pretty good speed. Keep your eyes on Takuma Sato, obviously, two-time winner, looking for his third. So, yeah, I think those are some pretty good picks there. I hope they all don't wreck out, halfway through the race.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am 99% sure if you were to win this will make him the first driver to win at Indy in NASCAR and IndyCar. First driver to win the Brickyard 400 and Indy 500.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
I think you're right on that. Close. He came really close.
Yeah. So definitely something pretty historical if Jimmy Johnson would win the Indy 500. And now we move over to the 600 for that evening. I always enjoy watching the Coca-Cola 600. It's going to be a long race, very long race. So it's key to stay patient. We have seen the track record of first-time winners, even in this season, obviously. Austin Cindric winning the Daytona 500, Chase Briscoe winning at Phoenix, and then, of course, Chastain with his 2 wins. If I want to go with a top 3, number 1, Tyler Reddick. He's come close. Oh, so many times. And just not able to get that checkered flag. But, his win's coming soon. It's coming very soon. And I think it could be this weekend. Tyler Reddick would be a great choice, as well as Daniel Suarez. He stays out of trouble. I think he will have a lot of speed at Charlotte, and I think he'll be a threat to win. And as for my third pick, you know what? Hendrick might be due to get back in victory lane again. Let's go with a safe bet. Kyle Larson, last year's winner.
Always a safe pick.
Pretty much. So, yeah, it's a fun race weekend. I'm excited that it's finally back to normal after these last couple of years. Obviously, we didn't even have Monaco in 2020. The Indy 500 was in August, and of course, we still had our 600 on schedule. Of course, that was with no fans. Last year felt more normal, but this year it finally feels like a true race weekend again. And this weekend, weekends like these show how important racing is and why I love it. So I am definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely. greatest weekend in motorsports.
It truly is. It truly is. Like I said at the start of the show here, breakfast in Monaco, lunch in Indy, dinner in Charlotte. That's how it's going to be this Sunday, and it's going to be a fun weekend, guys. So let's definitely look forward to that, and hopefully we'll do some more of these podcasts too. We know it's been a bump, so we apologize. We've just had, busy lives, pretty much. Been stuff going on.
Yep. Obviously been very busy, and I feel like we should probably make an announcement regarding one of the things that's kept up at least my time.
Yeah, go on ahead.
All right. So I'm excited to announce I will be competing part-time in the ARCA Menard Series with Alex Club Racing for the remainder of the 22 season. Plan is to start at Indy if the funding can be found. I believe we will also be running at Milwaukee and possibly Bristol and Salem. Hopefully Toledo. We're going to run as many as we can really to end out the year. So I just can't thank Alex Club enough for giving me this opportunity. And I do just want to say we do have a fan sponsorship program. If you want, you can go over to my Twitter or DM either one of us. We'll get you the information. And we are also just looking for any other corporate sponsors who want to hop on, put their logo on the car. We've got room for anything right now. So if anyone wants their name on the car, hit us up, and we will get you hooked up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I'm just thrilled for you that you're going to get this opportunity to move up in your racing career. So, yeah, when this is uploaded onto YouTube, check the link in the description down below. I will leave links to all that information regarding the fan sponsorship and how you can support Michael's journey into ARCA. So I'm really excited for your opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you out on the racetrack in an ARCA car.
Yeah, you can make good money racing in ARCA. That's an inside joke for anyone who doesn't know.
My bad. I had a brain fart for like a split second. I am so sorry. Oh, well. It happens. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. So, yeah, besides that, I don't think there's anything else much to report. I think we'll go ahead and wrap this bad boy up, shall we?
Let's
All righty. Well, best of luck to you in Charlotte this weekend on the pit crew side, and have fun, and let's have a fun weekend of racing. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this newest edition of the Dropping the Hammer Racing Hour podcast. From Michael Klein and myself, Alex Gray, we will see you next time. Peace.